We've had computer problems all day today. But anyway, so we're announcing the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2020 in the next week or so. And as part of that, one of the cool things we wanted to do was the Hornet v Viper. Everybody has said Hornet v Viper, Hornet v Viper, Hornet v Viper. So Gonky found a DCS place in Pensacola, and he it was actually a real cockpit this time, so he had no more excuses. And he got into a clean demo. We did demo v demo, so no pylons, no nothing. Guns only. We did 3 sets. Yeah, I think we did 3 sets of BFM, high aspect. We did 2 butterflies and a beam set. And then we did a drag race to see who was faster. And then we swapped, and I got in the Hornet and he got in the Viper, and we did 1 fight like that, and then that's it. So you'll have both channels. You'll have both sides of the channel. You have me, what I have, my perspective, my debrief, all that stuff, and then you'll have Gonky's channel from his perspective, I think. I hope they were able to record it. So anyway, today's Mover Mailbag is brought to you by no one. We're going to take your questions because I like the live format. I like hanging out with you guys. I think it's a lot cooler doing it this way. Plus, it's a lot easier to edit. But we'll do that, and then we'll take your live Q&A. If you want to support the channel, do the super chat thing. And that makes sure there was a thing last week where this happened, where a guy got mad because his question was not seen. And last week, unlike this week, I actually had both Facebook and YouTube Live going at the same time, so I had a whole bunch of chat versus this should be a little bit shorter. But if you want your question read, use a super chat. That's that's the only way to absolutely guarantee that's going to be seen. But it's live, so stuff happens. So let's get to your emails and questions. And this one comes from Sean. Sean says, Mover, I never reach out to content creators like yourself, but this is a weird point in my life. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I recently got the boot from UPT right before my final check ride before I got my wings for lack of training reasons. My guard guy that was tracking Vipers, oh my God, that sucks, previously enlisted C-17 Loadmaster. I understand the Air Force ops lifestyle extremely well and look at all the right steps just from here. For sitting in debriefs of red flag vols that I took part in, mission planning cells, spending time in the vault, etc. I did things not expected of me, but hoped that it'd pay off for me as a pointy-nosed guy. My whole world revolved around military flying and becoming a fighter pilot since I was a kid. Like you stated in your video, it was the definition of who I am, what I aspired to be. I struggled at UPT, but not to the extent that I thought removal from training was warranted. I made mistakes, but that I never made on normal training lines on sorties that really mattered. I let the pressure of everyday life, everything in life, get in the way of my performance, and I've owned up to that. Experiencing anxiety, stress that UPT is meant to create got the better of me. Never had any type of anxiety, even during in-theater missions I've flown. It took the fun out of my one passion in life. I took pride in being an athlete in life and being able to make things happen, to come out on top, which I've had a lot of success with. Here, I was more terrified of failure and how the IP was going to grade me more than enjoying doing something awesome. Of course, everything in hindsight is 2020, but as you mentioned at the end of your video, mental health is a huge deal. I'd love to hear more of your experiences with that because I know for a fact that was the reason for my failure. Been in a very dark place for the last month with no clear way forward and what to do next. I'd still like to chase flying in some capacity, even though it'll never be the same as a fighter. Militarily, I'm working to find a way forward as well. I know opportunities are there. I'm just stuck in regret mode. Nothing jumps out at me that I'd be excited to do. Nothing compares military aviation, in my opinion. I'll figure it out. Something, though. I'm old enough and had similar emotionally traumatizing experiences to a lesser extent to press on. If there's anything fighter ops related that I refuse to give up, it's to maintain the mentality that there's still a mission to do, shake off the mistakes, take the lessons learned, and apply them next time. Probably sounds like a lot of complaining. There's always 10% truth behind every story. Luck, timing, whatever it may be, it just didn't work out regardless of taking the right steps. Wrapping this up, I've been unfollowing fighter profiles on social media, changing my phone wallpaper, all the things that keep me motivated and trying to heal myself. Separate from my identity I've created. When I got to your page and saw this video, which I reluctantly clicked on, but glad I did. Heard praises from commanders here and that this result doesn't define who I am, and I'd make a great officer either way, but that's not why I came to UPT. I've been in long enough. I've seen and heard many of the speeches from leadership before. Find him not to be sugarcoated, empty words, may be jaded by this point and has some resentment toward the leadership culture. That's me speaking purely off emotion from my experiences in the Air Force. The only thing that's kept me loving what I do is the thick skin I've developed and faith that what we do is worthwhile to the world. I just wanted to say I needed to hear what you said. It's given me a shred of hope that things will work out for the best. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, that's tough. That sucks. I think we've all been there. Now, yeah, I mean, washing out of a pilot training program really sucks, and I'm not going to say we've all been there for that. But I think anxiety and wanting to perform and wanting to do well, is a common part, especially for something as high level as, pilot training and stuff like that. So it's happened. I really want to do another video of talking about that kind of stress and anxiety and stuff like that, because it definitely happens. But as far as your specific situation, all you can do is move forward. Like, that is the only option. You can't dwell on it. Yes, it sucks. Other doors will open. You just have to kind of keep an open mind and realize that the path you thought you were on might not be the right path. And what you have to do is just take that, grieve for the time that it takes to grieve, and then just move on. I mean, there have been times in my life that I thought it was over, and then I came back and found other things, and that helped me, and even as I stare at the end once again, I look at it and go, well, because it's not it's not what defines me, I can then move forward, and hopefully, it's not the end of the world. It's just one door closing, but another door opens. So it's a good email. It sucks. I hate to hear that. It's one of those things that, it would have been cool if you could have done it, but I think you'll do better things, and I think you'll move forward from that. So anyway, let's move on to the next question. Boy, that was deep. Let's see. I'm a retired Navy chief, flew in the ASW aircraft for 23 years. Can't tell you how many nut jobs would corner me on chemtrails that you might find a picture below amusing. For bonus points, you can tell me what kind of bird I flew in. Can I share this? I don't know if I can share this. Looks like a P3 though. It says here we see a government worker attaching the chemtrail tanks. Looks like he's doing the P3 buoys. But yeah, chemtrail people. Craziness. All right, next, Dan. Dan says, have you taken a look at all these flights? The question was, fly a real MiG-29 or other jets in the back seat. Have you taken a look at all these flights? What are your thoughts on flying one of those back seat, obviously? Well, I don't know about obviously. I would fly in a MiG-29 in the front seat, but I have zero interest of flying in the back seat. Like, I don't want to go for a ride. Like, that has no interest to me whatsoever. I would fly it to see what it's like. It's like, hey, would you like to ride in a race car? No, I'd like to drive a race car. I've driven race cars. I want to drive a race car. I've flown fighters. I want to fly a fighter. So, I wouldn't pay $15,000 to go ride in the back seat. But that's just me. If you haven't done it before, yeah, I can see where that'd be a thing. Sure. All right. Thank you, Dan. That's a nice question. Christopher says, advice for those who do get told no. Boy, we are grim today. Hi, Mover. Love your channel and books. I love the advice and encouragement you give young people. Been in aviation since childhood. I'm 60 now, and would have loved to be a fighter pilot for various reasons that wasn't to be. Listed in the Air Force at 18, spent 15 years active duty in vehicle maintenance, followed by 9 years chasing tanks around the desert as a mechanic in the Army Guard. Well, tanks sound fun. My point being that even if you can't fly, there are so many great jobs in the military that can lead to lucrative careers both in and out of uniform. I followed on after getting off active duty with a 26-year career as a mechanic for a utility company fleet. While in, I got my education and took advantage of every technical course I could that would help me in my career until final retirement last year. Oh, congratulations. Just because you can't be a fighter pilot isn't the end of the world. Keep up the great work and can't wait for the next book. I've talked about that. I've talked about, so in pilot training, I did really well. And then back in the 2007 timeframe, people were washing out of IFF, or at least I was hearing about people washing out of IFF. And I was afraid that I would wash out myself. I had no basis for that. Like, Nothing to that point even remotely suggested that I was going to wash out. From every grade sheet I ever had was good. There was no reason to think that, but I did. And I psyched myself up. I got the same anxiety that Sean was talking about. And I, hooked a couple rides that I shouldn't have, just because I was in my own head. But during that time when I thought I was going to wash out, I was like Googling other jobs that I could do. And I had settled on, I was going to go be a special agent with OSI, because I thought that was real interesting. NCIS was a thing, and JAG and all that stuff. And I figured that would be it. And I think I don't know if that's good advice, but I think having options is always a good thing, because like we talked about in that last video, and I wanted to say on that last video, that is why I like doing this channel. That kind of video and the response I've gotten a lot of emails, non-mailbag, just to support, of people saying, thanks for saying that. Thanks for putting that out there. I agree because, and then they'll tell their story. And I think that's what makes this channel worth it, is you, the fans, the people watching. I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing about how other people have gone through similar things and starting the conversation. I mean, if that's all we've done is start a conversation on, not being absorbed by something and, the mental health aspect of that, I think it's a good thing. And I'm glad we're talking about it. So this is another good point. Chris makes a good point of, even if the answer is no, we say make them tell you no, but, it's make the person at the end of the line tell you no, not yourself. So if they do say no and the answer is no, then it's not the end of the world. You can go do something else cool with your life. I mean, many people have had doors slammed shut in their face only to have much better doors open on the other side. And that's exactly, just like Sean. I think he's going to still do great things. I think it's just this was not meant for him. So, good point. Let's see what the chat's saying right now. P2 sub hunters. Let's see. Woo wants to know if I can try DCS campaigns. It depends. Depends on the aircraft. Anything BVR is going to be classified. Anything with missiles and, AIM-120, AIM-9 stuff, I'm not going to be able to do that. But it just depends. I could do a Huey campaign or, something I've never flown. So this is interesting. Do you have any plans of starting a community Discord server? I don't. But, a couple people have said, have you ever thought about doing the Patreon thing because of how, YouTube's analytics and algorithm and stuff. And if we ever did that, if I ever did the Patreon, that would be probably the only thing the best part I'd be able to answer or offer. Okay, Mover, your last video was great. Really great advice for any major career. Keep it up. Yep. I said it specifically for aviation, but it applies to everything. So, let's see. Anyway, back to the, where's my email here? Oh boy. Let's see. Salty Sailor. Huh. Dear Mover, I apologize for being a little down today. I've been fighting for a long time as I'm only 56 with some disabilities. Yesterday, I went for my last appointment for disability since I fell in February on ice and hit my head. I've lost the ability to walk without assistance of a walker, save around our place much. My short-term memory is iffy at best, and my speech is awful. I now stutter and lose my place. Get mad because I can't remember where I was at. After I left Surface, I wanted to go back, and I thought I would return, but because of an accident, those dreams are dashed due to a motorcycle accident that left me learning how to walk all over again. Wow. I'm not complaining about my life. God has taught me how to be tough and fight. We are a tough nation. I don't have a lot. After the accident, I made the best of life, and while life has given me lemons, I am doing my best to make lemonade out of it. Guess I'm writing this for therapy. Thanks, shipmate, for letting me vent. Hopefully my story will end with a positive. Thank you for your weekly videos. They are always so entertaining and full of not only education, but fun. Regards, Gregory. Oh, wow, Greg, man, that sucks. You have to keep picking yourself back up. When I did Krav Maga in Miami, my sensei actually had been paralyzed twice. He was Israeli, and he was in the Israeli Air Force. He flew helicopters while he was training with Amy Lichtenfield and Dennis Hanover. And he had a helicopter crash that paralyzed him from the waist down, partially paralyzed him. He got himself back walking and ended up competing in, I think it was the Special Olympics. I don't know. It was some Olympic event. Might be swimming. And he got himself back and then was into karate. So he combined Krav Maga and karate. And then in the 80s, so, 15 years later, he paralyzed himself again. He had a diving accident, from swimming. And he has still, to this day, he has, impairment. He got himself back walking again. He refused surgery because he said, if once you open me up, that's it. So he didn't do surgery. He rehabilitated himself as best he could. And, you can tell he walks with a certain gait, but that refusal to let these accidents keep him down is, to me, inspirational. And I think that was something that I was proud to have known him, or to know him. He's still, I don't know that he still teaches, but I think he does. He's got a wheelchair fitness system that he developed. It's pretty cool. But you see that type of personality, and just like Greg, where you fall, something bad happens, but you pick yourself back up and you refuse to let it keep you down. And I think that can be, even though he's venting, I think really his story is more inspirational than anything, because, life's going to throw these things at you. And, it's just how do you react that defines who you are. So next one, let's see. Roman. Hello, Mover. I have a few questions for you regarding the PCSM, which is the Pilot Candidate Selection Method for the Air Force. Will being bilingual help raise your PCSM score or raise the chance of a unit hiring you at all? No. Your PCSM score does not have anything to do with now, your ability to speak two languages, does that translate and make you better? Maybe. I mean, it may make you better, but there is nothing within any of the scores or testing that has anything to do with being bilingual. So no, and a unit won't care. Well, I take that back. Maybe like the Puerto Rico guys, maybe a place that is near somewhere that, has like two languages that they need to speak. But in general, I don't think it really matters. Secondly, would having an FAA rating in airplanes rather than helicopters make a difference in the PCSM? Nope, it's just flight hours. Currently 16 in high school with around 30 hours of PIC time and helos and around 2 hours of solo time. Thank you for everything, Mover. You're a huge inspiration to me and why I'd love to serve my country. Your Make Them Tell You No motto has influenced me to not give up my dreams. On my dreams due to eyesight, I always dreamed of being a pilot for the Air Force and immediately disqualified myself after merely looking at articles online authored by individuals who aren't in the position to tell me that I can't fly. Thanks for everything you do for the aviation community in our country, Roman. Well, thank you, Roman. And again, don't count yourself out until the very end. But I think you're on the right track. I mean, if you're flying 30 hours in a helicopter, I think that's pretty cool. How do you have... I'm curious how you've got 30 hours of PIC time in helos with only 2 hours of solo time at 16. That's a little confusing to me, but definitely 30 hours flying helos is pretty cool, though. And I think that'll help your PCSM score. Cool. Back to the chat. See what you guys are saying. When the time is right, can you share what you plan to do with your aviation career going forward? Rush A-10 squadrons, helo with Sheriff's Department or government agency. Well, Tom, the time is always right. Let's see. I am still rushing squadrons and putting my app out there. The problem is this is probably one of the worst times to be looking for a military part-time flying job, being not qualified in a fighter. Most units they can't get transition courses, so they can't train you in what they fly. And the F-35 is so delayed right now because all these units are transitioning to the F-35. It's so delayed because they have some engine power module issues or whatever that they're not hiring. And the active duty guys are finishing their 10-year commitments, and now they're taking the jobs. So, an older guy, And I say older loosely, being a major, senior major, starting to get up for lieutenant colonel, it's a tougher sell for them to hire me, a guy who hasn't flown a fourth-gen fighter since 2016, than it is to get a current qualified guy with all the qualifications off active duty. So it's a tough road. I mean, yeah, Russian A-10 squadrons, that's good. Helo with the sheriff's department, no. And the reason for that, I'll go ahead and take your name off there so people aren't blasting you. The thing about Harrison County is their HR requires you to have a Mississippi driver's license, and I don't. And I won't. My sheriff's office, my agency, does not have a helicopter anymore. So that kind of rules that out. Now, will I still fly with the Harrison County guys? Yes. It's just I can't officially be a deputy to do it because I can't be on their payroll or even be a volunteer. They won't allow it. So that's unfortunate. Let's see. What else we got? In the Viper and Hornet, what dissimilar aircraft gave you the most trouble? For the Viper, it was an F-15. Just because he did this bathtub thing where they go up and over, and that, I was a young guy. I had no idea what any of that meant. For the Hornet, I only ever fought an Eagle, and it did not give me any trouble at all. That was the only dissimilar thing I did, was against the Eagle. So, yeah. I mean, the Hornet never gave me trouble in the Viper, but I never got to fight a Viper when I was flying the Hornet, so it's tough. What else we got? Just landed. Kanye. Oh, man. Kanye West is an IFF, and he just landed from his defensive BFM ride in IFF. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Gary asks, how's the helicopter thing going? I mean, I'm a licensed private pilot. So we figured out that I think I'm like 10 hours away from a commercial. So I previously had decided I was just going to go straight to my ATP, but I am now considering going to get my commercial because it's only 3 hours of dual instruction. So I might go do that in the next month or two. Any news or plan? Yep, you missed the first part, or maybe I got disconnected. So next week we're going to announce. That's why Gonki and I were doing the Hornet versus Viper BFM in DCS, because we're going to use that video as kind of a launch to launch the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2021 video. Let's see. Are you Jeremy? By the way, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, Jeremy, you're right there. That's awesome. Thank you for reminding me because it's sitting right next to me. And I usually start with these, but I haven't done one of these live. So, yes, this one comes from Jeremy. Jeremy. And it's this. Here we go. What do we got? A Hornet? Blue Angel? Bada bing, bada boom. Sorry, the NVIDIA blur kind of struggles with this part. And then a Tomcat. Little model. And then what do we got here? Jeremy says, I saw your video about Make Them Tell You No story. Really appreciate your feedback about the inspiration that I'm giving out. I know you're just some regular guy, but to me, you're inspiration for me to start chasing my dreams. I may be an awesome paratrooper, but like any military branch, especially the Army, a lot of dumb stuff comes to it, and I realize that being a grunt is not for me, so it's time for me to move on from being this dumb Army monkey and chasing my dreams. Start chasing my dream. Like you said, we're our own worst enemy, but we also have to control and prevent that in order to make ourselves better. I've lost 20 pounds. When I first started my fitness journey, I thought I wasn't able to succeed, but when I put my mind to it and found the discipline to keep pushing, I was able to reach my goal. It all came from the saying, it's only worth it if you work for it. I've never realized how true that was, so I keep pushing with phrases like Make Them Tell You No, and to it's only worth it if you work for it, until I reach my goal of catching up to you as a fighter pilot and a rider. Thank you for the drive I've been craving for a long time. That is awesome, and this is a hefty Ziploc bag. What do we got here? In this package, I got you a couple items. A Maisto F-14 Tomcat, a Maisto F-18 Blue Angels, a Guam Army National Guard patch, and an 82nd Airborne patch. And lastly, a fan fiction story that's written based off an anime that I love watching. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, okay. It's the Fleur-de-Lis, too. That's cool. Airborne. And airborne. Oh, awesome. That's really cool. Stories about a team of Special Forces ODAs being deployed to raid a goblin stronghold and kill a bunch of goblins. The storyline seems kind of goofy, but at least hope you enjoy it. Also note that the ODAs are also getting closer support by F-15s for military aviation part of it. Don't know how accurate it is compared to your days of providing cast to ground forces, since I'm neither a JTAC nor a fighter pilot, but I'd love to hear some critique. Very last page of the stack of papers are pictures of the characters that will give you a visual reference of who they are. I know I'm a super anime nerd. That's all I have to give you. I really appreciate it. Jeremy. Also add my Airborne Wings Parachutist badge and my unit's regimental crest of the 3rd Battalion, 319th Airborne Field Artillery Regiment. That is awesome. Really cool. And here it is. Here's the summary. Airborne Hentai 82. There you go. There's the picture. There are the pictures. Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Yes, I did get it. Cool. Let's see here. Let's go back to the questions. So, yes, I did receive the package. Chris wants to know, do you have to do something special? R. Yes. How do I become a test pilot? You have to apply to test pilot school. You have to have a technical degree. Go to the testpilot.gov or whatever, TPS. Go. You can look up their requirements. Oh, Chris's comment. Do you have to do something special, fly with the Sheriff's Department as a civil helo pilot? Not really. I mean, they have to hire you. They train you. It's public use, so they get to kind of decide. Are you going to interview any 30th Fighter Squadron dudes at Whiteman? I don't have any plans to do that as of right now, but I'm never ruling that out. What's the one thing you never got to do while flying the F-16 and F-18 wish you could have done? Well, for the Hornet, land on the boat and do a cat shot. More cat shot than land on the boat, but either of those two. I actually never got to refuel either. So, in the Hornet. I got plenty of practice in the Viper, but never in the Hornet. Never needed to. If you decided on a track car, I was talking to a dealer about the SS1 Elite, but I think right now I'm going to hold off. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. You know, I'm still actually even considering tracking the ZR1 every now and then. You know, part of me is like, look, it's a car. You got to drive it. I mean, if you're careful, you know, I mean, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I haven't made a good decision on that. Do you like to become a pilot for the Thunderbirds Blue Angels? Maybe. That's a lot of fingertip. It's a lot of fingertip. It would have been cool to be a demo pilot, like Rain, or you know, one of those guys. But to be a demo team pilot, I don't know. Let's see. Have you ever flown with the Jehemics? I got checked out on the Jehemics and the Hornet, but we never flew with it. Other than survival instinct, I would even say it's survival instinct's necessary. Are there necessary personality traits to be a successful fighter pilot? I would say just a willingness to learn and to be a sponge and to accept criticism. That's the biggest thing, because you have to be able to go fly an hour and then spend 2 to 3 hours or more, 6 hours in a debrief and absorb everything that you're learning and not get defensive and not take it personally. I think that's huge. Do you actually like the T-38 or do you fly it because it's the only point of news option available to you right now? I like the T-38. I like the T-38. I hate the T-38A seat. I do not like the parachute at all. I think it's it's antiquated and, it's bad on your back, your neck, and all that stuff. I don't know why they never invested the money to give us the new seats, but I do enjoy. I mean, the T-38's a fun little jet. It's if it were more comfortable, it'd be awesome. Kent asks if I got his email. It depends on. You're going to have to be more specific. I get a lot of emails. Which email did you send it to? Let's see if I got any Kent emails. All right, back to the emails. This is from Thomas. Mover, NOLA native here. Your Make Them Tell You No videos were tremendous inspiration to me going through medical school as my second career. Wow. More on that another time. A recent barrage of news stories indicates the Navy's planning to retire the entire legacy Hornet fleet. Not nonsensical. They're expensive to operate. There are noises about them replacing 204 Hornets with surplus Swiss F5EF models while sending the EFs to VFC-12s and pre-block 40 Vipers to VFC-13. Get the A-plus aircraft are very tired, but I'm wrong and to have misgivings about replacing them with F5s. The F5 suitable aircraft for this role. As a bit of a postscript, once my residency slot is verified in March, I'll be in touch again trying to get back to either LSU or Tulane as I'm trying to get closer to my aging parents. I use your videos on a regular basis as examples when talking to aspiring medical students. Oh, that's awesome. So to answer your question, yes, that is, as far as I know, confirmed. They are getting F5s. They have had C models, so they don't fly A-pluses anymore. It's been probably a year or two since they got rid of those. It's definitely, it's tough. So it's tough to replace a Hornet, but the F5, they've upgraded it. They've upgraded the radar. They've got glass cockpits and stuff. It's cheaper to operate. I think economically, it's a better aircraft. So I just got an email while we're sitting here. Another Sean. Hi, I enjoy your video, especially the accident analysis. I'm a pilot with a major airline, but has always had an interest in exploring police work as a reserve. How'd you get through the academy, and have you found issues juggling your schedule with court appearances, etc.? Oh, yeah. So it was different when I did it because I was still at VFA 204. So I had a day job, essentially. And I did night post, the post academy. So Tuesdays and Thursdays and every other weekend for, God, we did that for like 6 months. And then that part, was pretty easy to manage. Where it becomes tough is, they want you to get your hours. They have a certain number of hours, depending on the agency, how many hours you want to get a month. And that can be tough to do with the schedule. Thankfully, the agency's pretty flexible, but some places are not. So, court appearances can be a problem. At my airline, I had a summons to go testify, and the airline's like, "Hey, that doesn't fall under the contract of jury duty. So if you want to take EO, which is emergency off, employee off, I don't know, whatever it is, you basically take from your vacation bank." They'll let you go, but it can be tough, but it's definitely rewarding, and it's definitely a challenging thing. So I very much enjoy it. In fact, that's a good segue. I went out Thursday. I have a new favorite story. My previous favorite story was I was in the FTO, the field training program. We got a call, a woman called 911 because she believed her identity had been stolen. And so we show up. We're reading the notes, and my FTO's like, "I am not going in there." She said, "You go in. I won't do it." So I was like, "Okay, I'm happy to do it." So I go in, and the elderly woman says, "I believe my identity's been stolen." I said, "Ma'am, why do you believe your identity's been stolen?" She says, "Well, because I'm getting somebody else's mail." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, somebody else's mail, I'm getting their flyers and ads and stuff, and I think that means my identity's been stolen." I'm like, "Ma'am, that does not mean your identity's been stolen. And also, mail is not within the purview of what we do." So, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you." So that was a funny one, getting the wrong mail. But then a couple days ago, we go out and we get to the call. The call was for criminal damage to property. So somebody had called the non-emergency number. I don't think they called 911, but they called because they believed that overnight their brand new pickup truck had been vandalized by kids with paint. Somebody had thrown paint on it. Like, "Oh, wow. Okay, well, this is going to be a report." And if anybody's actually in law enforcement, you're sitting there going, "God, I'm going to have to write a report on this. It sucks." So we get there, and you can see it. We get there, we pull up on the truck, and it's a kind of a well-to-do neighborhood. So, the people that are nosy and want to know everything, they're all, standing around looking at this truck. And so they disperse. We show up, and it's a man and his wife, and like, "Yeah, we got paint all over this thing. Look at the hood, look at the roof, look at the side." And, there's paint on the back. There's even paint on the concrete. There's paint underneath the thing. It's crazy. Okay. Meanwhile, it's parked under a tree. So I asked him, I go, have you tried going to the car wash? And they said, no, I wanted to preserve the evidence. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I'm about to take my thumb, and I'm like, I don't want to scratch this guy's paint, especially if there's white paint on there, because we're trying to preserve the evidence for him. So I said, sir, do you have a wash rag, something that won't scratch the paint, microfiber or something like that? It's a black truck. He comes back out with a wash mitt, and he starts hosing it down. The wife's yelling at him because, oh, you're getting water everywhere. So he takes it and he rubs it across the side of the truck, and all of it comes off. And I point to the green chunks in the white paint, and I said, sir, that's bird poop. I can't do anything about that. There's no way I can prosecute birds. Oh, okay. Well, we're so sorry to waste your time. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, that's my new favorite, is somebody called 911 because a bird crapped on their pickup truck. Anyway, CJ says, if you ever want to interview any 303 10 guys, I can coordinate that. Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. Let's see. What else we got? Go back to the comments, because I always love hearing what you guys say. And I'm sorry if I've skipped you. This is just the way this is. Airborne anti. Yeah, I know. Do Air Force pilots become firefighter pilots driving big birds? Some do. Some do, some don't. Oakley wants to know, are you rushing only Air Force jobs and no Navy jobs? I can't go back to the Navy. At this point, it would be another 6 to 9 month process to inter-service transfer back. It just won't happen. And plus, there's no guarantee. So the reason I left the Navy was because the Navy BUPER said I was non-deployable. Well, there's no guarantee they'll change that, even though that's ridiculous. So, yeah, it's just not something I could do. Unknown user says, should I become a test pilot or an aeronautical engineer with my degree in AME? Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to fly, or do you want to be an engineer? I would become a fighter pilot, and then if I, at some point maybe wanted to become a test pilot, do that. But I wouldn't be aiming straight to test pilot from the beginning, personally. What else have we got? Is this another of the same question? Any word on the DCS fundraiser for Folds of Honor? Yep. We'll announce that next week. Have you ever flown T-38s out of San Antonio? Yes, I did IFF at Randolph. Have you ever done a Cobra in your F-18? No. I don't think you can do a Cobra in the F-18. That'd be tough. A real Cobra. You can do some high alpha stuff, but you can't post-stall. Will the T-38 go supersonic in level flight with a blower? It depends on the altitude. You usually have to nose over just a little bit to get it to do it, because it just hits a wall at 0.95, 0.98. It just can't get through the transonic regime as well as other fighters. It just doesn't have the motor for it. But Jeremy says it can break 1.03 at sea level. Yeah, but good luck, dude. You're going to need a lot of space to do it. Mick says, I just joined your other channel with the other stuff. I was so glad you were a foster failure. Hope Luna is settled and the boys are loving your latest member. Yeah, we're going to bring all that over here. I'm not doing 2 channels. It's just, I don't want to get pigeonholed into that whole it's aviation only thing. And the juice is just not worth the squeeze to try to maintain 2 channels. So it's all going to come back. Let's see, what do we got here? But that's not my only funny law enforcement story. My FTO had me read a report. Guy calls 911. This is going to be law enforcement story hour because I'm just into that right now. Guy calls 911 to report a fraud. And he had been screwed out of a woman, so to speak, he'd given gift cards to this woman. And my FTO goes to the call and he says, yeah, I gave her these gift cards or whatever, and she just ran off with them. And he said, well, what were you giving them the gift cards for? And he was like, well, because she was going to have sex with me. So he got arrested on the spot for soliciting prostitution after calling 911 for being scammed about the prostitute. You just can't make this up. So the guy calls 911 to God, he calls 911 to report a fraud and gets arrested on the 911 call where he reported his fraud. Yeah. Anyway, that's almost as good as the time my FTO, we went to a call and this woman was reporting that her lover had stolen her car. And, well, what do you mean? Well, we were at a gas station and we got in a fight and she left me. And here's the text message with me trying to get my car back because we've been in a lover's quarrel. So she hands the phone to my FTO. My FTO just starts scrolling through it. And he says, ma'am, next time you hand your phone to a cop, why don't you not have you trying to buy drugs in the text messages? She's like, what do you mean? It says right here, I would like to buy, I forgot what kind of drugs it was, meth or something like that. I would like to buy this. And it wasn't in code. It was like plain English. And he goes, this is a civil matter. Here's your phone back. Make it better life choices. Goodbye. Love it. Just love it. He didn't get his gift card back either. How comfortable are the newer seats in the F-16? The old seats in the old trainers like the CL-114 were agony after a couple hours. You mean newer seats like I don't know that the F-16 has newer seats, but the F-16 and the F-18 seats were way more comfortable than the T-38. I think the F-16 seat was more comfortable than the F-18 seat too. I used to do 6-7 hour sorties in the F-16. The only thing it was I was wearing that vest, so my back would hurt because I had so much weight. I was top heavy. Anyway. Ooh, that's a good one. Are you planning the Maverick movie get-together? Well, I'll answer your question with a question. When is that movie coming out? Because every time I sit there and say I'm going to plan something, it gets delayed again. So I'm not even going to make plans until I maybe the week prior, and it's like, oh, the movie's coming out. Okay, we'll do something. But, they just keep pushing it back. I don't know. Grizzly Whale says, just got selected for a pilot slot in the Canadian Air Force. Still a couple of years out to finish degree. What general advice for pilot training do you have? That's a good one. I'm gonna use that one. Help your bros. And everybody says, well, bros just got... No, it's boys and girls. If you can teach it, you know it. So cooperate to graduate. It is a slight competition, but not really. Your goal is to make sure everybody gets through. So if you can teach, it will make you better. And I think that is kind of the best part is everybody pulls each other to the level you need to be, and that will make you better. Instructors will notice. That's it. Don't try to make this big competition where, you try to stand out. Just help your bros. That's it. How'd you find the angle of the seats on the F-18 versus the F-16? I felt like I was leaning forward in the Hornet. But yeah. Tim says, since your Corvette is now a collector's, I drive it all the time. While I'm home, I drive it all the time. I don't go a lot of places when I'm home, but I do still drive it. It's still a question of whether to track it. That's all. It's not about whether to drive it. It's about whether to track it, because my concern is not that I would ball it up and total it, although that is a concern because you can't build another one. But, it's one thing if you total it, you get the insurance payout, okay, well, it's not going to be like a Ford GT one day because, it's a collector's car or whatever. But if you just partially wreck it, you do like 20 grand in damage. Well, now it's no longer a collector's car, and it's not really worth what the going rate is now. So you've taken a one of 900 car and trashed it on the track. And that's just always, that's the concern is less, if you spin out, rip the ground effects off, rip the bumper off or whatever, the devaluation of that versus it's almost better just to ball it up, catch it on fire. Now, if you ball it up and catch it on fire, I can never build another one. So that's it. Let's see. I might be skipping. Echo Base. Have you ever seen IMAX Fighter Pilot? Yes. Full movies on YouTube. I've avoided that because that guy's my old boss, but it'll happen. It'll happen eventually because I'll get tired of trying to shield his feelings. But my old boss is in that movie, and it's pretty cringy. Where did I get the nickname Mover? Go watch the very first episode, the very, very first one. I explained that. But long story short, there was a herd of cows that no longer exist. Have you ever flown rotors? In a follow-up, when you were on the radio, did you find the KY57, 58 hard to lock into your frequency? I am a private pilot, rotorcraft guy. So I've done a whole vlog series on that. And I don't know about hard to lock onto the frequency. No, I don't think so. Oh, I just answered that. Sorry. Okay. I actually don't know what the lifetime is for a F-18. How many carrier landings can the F-18 take? I have no idea. It's probably not a lot. All right, did we get all of the questions? Racing? Did we do this one? Stop me if you heard this one. Oh yeah, no, we haven't done this one. Hey Mover, live stream was great, even though I couldn't watch live. It's got a different feel and energy that I like. Planes and cars, man, it's all good. Regarding electric versus internal combustion, I think what my kids may not understand is that while technology can improve, it can also take away from the experience. With older cars, I'd guess it's much like jets where you feel the car's behavior and are constantly adjusting to get the performance you want. It's more raw. And while electric and modern cars have their advantages, I think older cars give you more of that feeling, just pure racing purposes, take away the amenities. I want it aggressive, loud, and difficult. This video illustrates it pretty well. Love the GT40 with a 427. Now that's a V8. Use headphones. It's awesome. Thanks, Mover. Hope all is well. Yeah, and there's a lot of part to this whole electric thing. I mean, electric's not free. You know, I mean, it's not. You have to generate electricity. You have to have a power grid that can support electric vehicles. You have to have a lot of stuff. You have to, batteries. You have to get the lithium ion or the lithium out of the ground. I mean, so it's not just, unicorn and rainbows. There are downsides to electric too, from an environmental side as well. Have you ever been locked onto while flying? By what? Yeah. Yeah. The basic answer is yes. But it depends on what you're asking. Odds of active duty CO Apache to guard fighter pilot, pretty good. I think guard units will respect your experience, depending on your age. It depends on... It's always going to be, it depends, because it really is going to depend on the unit, what they're looking for. Apache to A-10, probably a pretty easy sell. Apache to F-15, they may not care as much, but make them tell you no. Just go. I especially if you're like, if you're rushing a unit that you're a hometown boy or girl, yeah, absolutely. Are you still in iRacing? If so, can mere mortals join your group? Well, to answer your second question, yes. To answer your first question, I should be in iRacing. I haven't had time. I got a terrible setup. It's such a pain to go from wheel to, the other nerd stuff. I've been playing. If you want to know what my nerd fix has been lately, it has been Grand Theft Auto 5 PD. So as a cop, I love that. I love the pretty lights. And if you want to watch me do it, it's on Twitch, twitch.tv/ what am I calling myself now? Mover CWL. So yeah, but yeah, if the iRacing thing happens, you can absolutely join. It was open to everybody. We never had enough people. Have you been to the knitter? Yes. I'm not going to answer the second part. What are you, a spy? Tim asks, hi, Mover. You may have said it missed, but are you still doing law enforcement? Yes. Are you still flying for the airlines? I am. Go ahead, take your name off there. Sorry. So, yes, I'm still in law enforcement. I was out on Thursday. Had a good time. The airline thing I'm on, last year I did a paid leave of absence, which was awesome. Gave me a chance to grow the channel. This year I'm on an unpaid leave of absence because it was offered, and I was like, well, things are going well here, so let me, just see how it does. That ends in March or February. I think February it ends, and then I've got vacation in March. So I have to go back and make a decision on what the long-term plan is sometime in February or March, and we'll just assess, see how it's going. As far as you being a trooper, dude, be safe. Be safe. Are you retired? Did you say you're retired? Oh, retired. Okay, yeah. Be safe. That's all. What's your stance on the Osprey? It's cool, I guess. And are you still with that girl from that one heli? I was never with her. She was just a friend. So no, she's into football players. She likes football players. Anyway. Really great, this live one. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, dude, I love doing the GTA 5 PD videos. I have so much fun with that because it's almost like a Mover Ruins movies. You get to be a smartass, and the little drones or AI or whatever, they do some stupid things. So it gets really funny, and it can get really nonsensical really fast. So, yep, I have seen the Viper versus OV10. It's a cool video. Have I incurred any emergencies? No, I was lucky. I never had any real emergencies in the 737. Would you fly the U-2 once? The idea of being in a pressure suit for hours and hours or on end does not seem... Like, after talking to Stormy, you guys should watch that interview if you haven't. After talking to Stormy, I don't know that sounds all that fun. It just, I don't know. Which aircraft will be talking about in 25 years? Man, if I had a crystal ball, I could do the lottery numbers. I don't know. I mean, I think we'll still be talking about the A-10. Have you ever thought about going through the astronaut? I did, actually, until I got to the website and it says you have to have a technical degree or a STEM degree, and I have a business degree, and my business degree does not qualify me for anything. Have I ever thought about a European car for the track? No. American muscle, baby. What are your thoughts on the F5E? Awesome. Love to fly one. I think it's cool. I think that's what really we should be flying for adversary air for the F-22. You know, I think that adds a lot of capability. The fans are already starting their shipping wars again. I don't know what that means. Please post more on YouTube, man. Yeah, so it's all about time, energy, and interest. You know, those are the things. It is disappointing sometimes when, you know, something I think is going to be really cool. Like I'm actually a little worried about next week's video because I personally think that the video with me and Gonky, you know, F-16 versus F-18 and DCS would be a huge hit, but I can't predict it anymore. I mean, stuff that I think is going to do well doesn't. Stuff that I have no idea does. It's just... I don't know. So, you know, it's tough, man. It's really tough. Let's see. Will you try the Apache? Absolutely. And I will do my best Jake Preston impression when I do it. Would you have liked to experience an ejection? No. No. Absolutely not. Would you like to get shot? No. Who wants to do that? Absolutely no. No. That's like when I was going back to the law enforcement thing, it's like when I was in the academy and they said, we have to OC you, which is pepper spray. We have to pepper spray you, and we have to tase you. And I said, why? And so you can know what it feels like. I'm like, what, can't you just tell me? Well, you have to feel it for yourself. I'm like, well, you're going to shoot me too, so I know what that feels like? I mean, what? No, I can take your word for it. I actually didn't mind tasing. It like... really loosened up my back. Felt good. The OC, though, no thank you. Would you like to spend a month at Fort Polk with the Army units that cycle through to train over there? Depends on what I'm doing. I've never read Dan Hampton's books, any of them. Do you think a Viper or Hornet demo where the plane rarely dropped below 550 knots would be appreciated? No, I do not. The turn radius would be so big, you'd be off the, like, show center would be, and be well offset. I don't think it would look good at all. Would you work for a private military contractor providing red air like Draken or ATAC? Yes, but not full-time. I'd do it part-time for sure, 100%. Not your best Nicolas Cage impression. That's funny. All right, am I caught up yet? I have never flown against European fighters. I have flown with European fighters, like at Red Flag, but I've never flown against them. Your thoughts on the R66? You know, I would love to fly one, you know, so I can have an educated opinion. I've flown the Bell 505, which is fairly similar, and I love the 505. So I'm more of a Bell guy, I think. You know, I think having the Bell cockpit would be better. But it'd be cool to fly the 66 just to see the difference, you know. I think it, you know, I'm not going to rule it out. Like I can't make an educated, you know, opinion. I like the 44, but I think there's some things they could do better. So maybe they fixed it. Let's see here. Who are your favorite authors? Man, I don't really read much anymore. I know that's bad to say, but, you know, I feel like if I'm reading, I should be writing. So, you know, I don't want to be cheating on my own writing. But my favorite authors were always Vince Flynn, like Vince Flynn, not the guy who writes for Kyle Mills, like actual Vince Flynn, and Brad Thor. Fun fact, I've never read a Tom Clancy novel. A lot of people are surprised by that. What do you think of the Block 3 F-18? I don't know anything about it. Let's see. I graduate in 2023. It might be a little early. 2023, if you're graduating in 2023, yeah, you're over a year and a half out. I'd say wait till you get a little closer. How different is the F-16's canopy versus the F-18? Significant. Yeah. Even in DCS, we were, you know, so at the end of today, what we did was we swapped. So I'd been flying the Viper and against the Hornet, and then we swapped, and I got in the Hornet, and Gonky got in the Viper. And it's noticeable. You feel like you're in a bathtub in comparison. You know, it just feels like there's just so much stuff. The Viper is just like, you know, you're sitting up high. It's nice. Last video hit home. Thanks for your honesty. Yep, mental health is important. I want to do more. I want to be more of an advocate. I got to figure out how to do it without completely screwing over myself or anybody that I ask to get involved and help, because it's such a poorly understood thing. And the problem is you don't want to say something, and then in YouTube land, I mean, we've seen this in other channels where somebody calls the FAA on you or calls the military on you. You know, people keep asking, why didn't you have T-38 videos anymore? You know, you did one T-38 video, then you did the other one, and that was because we can't have nice things because people call and complain. Like, people call and complain about it. So, you know, no good deed goes unpunished. So, yeah, is what it is. EX sounds awesome, man. I'd love to fly it. In your opinion, which fighter jet, are you talking Hornet or Viper? It's by far the Hornet. The Hornet's just better. Now, when we say maneuverable, we're talking slow speed maneuverability. When you're talking a better fighter, that's a different question altogether, because then you have to fight to the strengths. But if you're talking just slow speed maneuverability, the Hornet all day long. Anyway, what else we got? Let's take one more good question, because we're about at the hour point, and that's probably good. And I'm sorry I was late once again. I finally fixed my clock, so to speak. Have you ever gone up against the Raptor in BFM? Yes, but not in a jet that could even give it any kind of problem. I fought the Raptor in the T-38 many times. And I mean, we do it for training. We're doing specific stuff so the student can see what they need to see. So, yeah, that thing's a eye-watering aircraft. That's why when we were talking about the Rafale video, you know, where they're like, oh, yeah, you're just a jealous American. No, because I've seen what a Raptor can do, and that's not it. Let's see. What do we got? Do they get kicked if you win in a T-38? No. No, because we're doing CAN setups. We're specifically trying to drive a lesson We're not going out and fighting full up. We're specifically trying to do a lesson for the student. Wow, you are late to the party. I've been out of the Hornet since 2016. I'm in the T-38 now. I'll probably be in the T-38 till mid-year, and I don't know what's next. Mover doesn't like microlights. Yeah, it doesn't really interest me. Have you ever driven a drag racing vehicle like Top Fuel? No. I've driven real race cars like NASCAR, but I've never driven a Top Fuel car. Would you pay $35 million to go to space? If I had $35 million, no. I would use $35 million for a lot of things. It wouldn't be to go to space. Comments on UPT 2.5? I don't have any. I'm not smart on what UPT 2.5 is. I've heard a lot of bad things about it, but I'm not one to talk out of turn. I would like to be more educated on it so I can see what the instructors say. It depends on what the instructors and the B course guys say. We've gotten some products of UPT 2.5. It's an uphill battle because they're not necessarily as high speed, if you will, but they're not bad pilots or anything. It's just it takes them a little bit longer to get there. Would you rather be an infantryman or artillery howitzer crew member? Oh my God. I don't know. Howitzer. That sounds awesome. Would you reckon your experience would give you a decent chance of beating an F-22 student? No. 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 Doesn't matter how good I am. When is your next podcast? So what I will try to do, except next week, it probably won't happen. Because next week, I'm supposed to go do some auto rotation training with the guys coming down with an R44. We're going to practice auto rotations Wednesday through Friday. So there may not be. But what I would like to do, when possible, is start doing, when we do the mailbag, it'll be live. It'll be about this time, about noonish, noon or 12:30 or so Central Time, so 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And we'll still do live interviews. I've got my friend Stinky, actually F-16 or A-10 F-16 pilot. He wrote this book. I've asked him to come on the channel. I don't know if he'll be able to do it on Monday, but if so, we'll do a live interview on Monday to talk about it, because this is a good book for like teenagers, life advice, stuff like that. And but we'll still do live interviews, and I want to make the Mover Mailbag live because I like doing this. It's fun. Yeah. CTS V3. Which one's the V3? The problem with the Z06 is the lifters. Or the lifters? Is that what's bad? The LS7 engine? Yeah, you almost always have to take it apart if you're going to race it. Anyway, what are your thoughts on VR sim training for fighter pilots? I do not like it. I don't think it's valid. I think it's good for procedures. I think it's good for switchology. I think it's good for learning systems. But as far as doing the actual mission, nothing replaces seat time in the jet, in the air, at however many Gs, at 400 knots or whatever. 0G, 1 knot, or 1 knot, 0 knots, 1G. I don't think it gives you as good a training. No plans, but I'd love to do it. So that's definitely going to happen. Do you always get ATIS? How often do you say I have negative information? If I have negative information, I don't say anything. That's it. Like I just don't. I don't rat myself out. Snitches get stitches. I just don't say anything if I don't have ATIS. I usually try to. I mean, typically I do, but every now and then you'll get handed off. If you just didn't have a chance to get it, and okay, no big deal. One of your videos, you said you'd like to have a MiG-29. Who wouldn't? I mean, I'd like to be rich enough to have such a thing. What do you like about it? It's a fighter. It's maneuverable. It's awesome. No, it's not my favorite jet, but I'd like to have one. Just like Su-35, I'd like to have one of those. They're awesome. Are you going to fly helo for the sheriff? No. We talked about that earlier. Anyway, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it, man. All right. Well, cool. Yes, Lester's doing fine. So you might see him back if we do that. Anyway, that's all the time we have. It's been an hour and 6 minutes. 69 minutes? Yeah. No, not 69 minutes. We're not there yet. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week for DCS with me and old Gonky, if I can get these videos edited in time. We'll have the announcement on the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2021. I never know what year it is. And we'll do some more cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you. We'll see you later. Goodbye.